All right, we are live and ready to go. Welcome to the first Great Courses of South Carolina podcast, the Carolina Flex Start. Myself and Owen Camp, Big O, going to come right at you here and give you some good disc golf information. The purpose of doing this is really just to focus on South Carolina disc golf, the players, the courses, the events, because obviously we live in this state. We feel like this is a hotbed of disc golf, but I mean, honestly, we can kind of back that up if you name Evan Scott and Micah Groth, everybody named Monn, especially Ryan Monn, who's got 3 majors last year, Ava Lutsenko. On the downside, of course, most of those guys were in our club at some point and used to kick our rear ends on a regular basis. But but that's
some of those I used to drive to courses and pick up. And so great stuff.
Cool. So first thing we're going to do is going to start off and kind of talk about what we've been doing lately. So for me, I played a couple tournaments in January. Yeah, actually not filming anything yet. That starts this next month. But I played the Shaver Shiver. Gabe Brown was running that event. That was at the Seneca Champ course. And then this last weekend, I played at Boyd Hill, the Boyd Hill Blizzard. John Raycock and Kyle Liebler down in Rock Hill. Nice event. Lots of fun. What about you, Owen?
Yeah, I just I normally don't play this time of year. Winter's normally big time off season for me, not because I'm focusing and practicing, but because I'm not playing. Normally too cold for me. So, but I had unique opportunity this year. Went south to find some warmer weather. Went down to Savannah, Georgia. Played the Savannah Open. Isaac Robinson was there. A couple other folks around that tournament. So really enjoyed it. We battled some rain here and there, but ended up having a great weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the other thing I've just been experimenting with in my personal bag in this time of year, something I thought you might find interesting is I feel like I have this epiphany every year when it gets cold, but I find myself gearing more towards soft plastic types, right? So I'll give you an example. I've been throwing Neutron Envy in the bag for a while, right? That's like a Innova Star plastic or like a ESP Discraft plastic. Becomes very rigid in the wintertime. Gets cold, those just harden up, right? They kind of knock on them. So I've been really leaning in towards the softer plastics in the winter, in all sorts of discs, right? The Envy I mentioned, but just feels more grip, and I feel like I forget this every winter, and I go into the winter using my summer plastic, my hard plastic, in the South Carolina heat, and so thought that was something you might find interesting.
Yeah, I've been throwing the banger. I added it to the bag past couple months, and definitely been relying on the putter plastic, the soft putter plastic banger from Discraft. Feels really good in the hand. I know a lot of people don't like the thumb track, and it is kind of weird, but I like it.
Disc for sure.
Yeah, but I've got a couple ESP ones, but I've definitely been relying on the putter plastic and the soft plastic versions of those.
It's the type of thing I think once it warms up a little bit more, it'll probably get kicked out of my bag, but I just kind of a mental note for next winter. Once it gets cold, put the soft plastic back in the bag. So
yeah, and for those of you that aren't in South Carolina, January's just been crazy. Myrtle Beach and Charleston had snow. It's what is this world anyhow? It's crazy.
Yeah, it was it was. I remember it being a high of like 22 degrees last week, and I think the high for today was like 67, 68. So
yeah.
it jumps on its head out here.
Yeah, just about get all 4 seasons in one day sometimes.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right, I think we'll jump into, we'll look kind of across the landscape of South Carolina touring pros, right? So these are folks that call South Carolina home. They may not necessarily be at home, but the folks that are out on tour looking at what they're doing. I know Braden Sides played a couple of the New Zealand and Europe events out there, so things going on out there. The Valdosta Open, I think he took first out there, second place in the TDU in New Zealand, right? There's a tie with Ezra Robinson throwing new Discraft plastic out there, so He's taken on some good things out there. A little bit more local things going on. Tyler Wozniak down in Somerville Country Club taking first down there. And then you got to witness, I think, at least between rounds, Ulibarri's first at Boyd Hill down there.
Oh yeah.
I know Boyd can be very scoreable, but it's the type of course where if Paul wasn't on his game, then anybody could probably catch him out there, but they did not. So
Yeah, first round he was actually in second by one stroke. The guy that was in first by an ace. He aced this little high island hole. Actually, we were on the hole right across the creek from that ace, and we were just
yeah,
looking at it like, oh, there it goes, boom, just aced in our faces. That was kind of cool. But yeah, Yuli came back the second round, just kind of waxed the floor with everybody, as you would expect from a touring
yeah.
pro.
Yeah, that's the classic, right? You're in a local C tier or something, and you've got the touring pro, and then you've got maybe like an up and coming pro or somebody
Mm-hmm.
fighting their way, and oftentimes you'll see right first round the local or the up and coming kind of hangs in there with the touring pro, but you give enough rounds to the touring pro and they really start to show you
Yep.
why they're that highly rated, why they've been doing this for a long time, why they represent some of the companies they represent. So
You mentioned earlier the tour down under with Braden and Ezra Robinson. There was one round down there. It was the very first Topo, or however you pronounce it. The very first event that they played. One round just had some dastardly wind. Braden, this putt made the rounds on reels and such. He was, I don't know, less than 10 feet away from the basket, and the putt went in the chains. I mean, it was blowing in the chains,
I
and
saw
just
this,
like
yeah.
floated backwards back
Yeah,
out of it.
that's
It was like,
crazy.
what do you have to do here?
I played it reminds me, I played a crazy win round in like 2019, 2020 down in Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a hurricane off the coast, and so we had like 40 mile per hour winds going on. Shot my highest rated round I had ever shot there. And it's just because I didn't shoot anything special. It's just because everyone else was throwing into ponds with alligators and
Oh yeah,
hitting trees and having putts like you saw from Braden in that viral clip. So,
yeah, not a lot of fun there.
moving kind of to the amateur side, top of MA1, tournament you played, Shaver Shiver. Sounds like there was some playoff scenarios out there, some close battles between Clay Smith and Hayden Peters.
Yeah, those guys were lighting it up. Um, so they went down to the wire and they finished up. They were tied, and both of them they were ahead by 7 strokes in MA1, and so they combined for 12 down and then went to a playoff, and then Clay won it. Clay's a
Wow.
He's been a member of the club, our local Hub City club, for a number of years. And I remember when I used to beat him, and I don't know what's happened this past year, but Clay's figured a lot of things out, and
There you
he's
go. Yeah,
yeah.
Clay's been putting in the work. Maybe I know Clay's been playing for a while. He comes to work days. He's a good
Hmm.
club member, so good to see him
Yeah.
get the win out there and in a playoff. Um, and then I guess really the other two local events, really local to us, but good for some of these. We'll call them super AMs, right? I think it's really the tale of Alan Vasquez, right? We're talking about Century Freeze. He won by 7 strokes out there.
Hmm.
Then there was the tournament out at Tiger River, Duncan, South Carolina. He won by 8 out there, so 7 and 8 stroke wins. This is a guy that's, I mean, really up and coming. He's going to be probably the next Micah Groth, Evan Mon, Jake Mon, right?
Yeah.
All those guys, you can see it right there in Allen. He's, I mean, shooting 1,000 rated rounds like it's nothing, and taking these fields by storm. I think this is really. I think if we see Allen go to move on to something bigger in the next year or two, right? You see him going out to AM Worlds or USDGC or something like this in the future. I think we're going to be able to look back at the beginning of this year and the end of last year and really
Hmm.
see the turning point for Allen. That this was his spark. This was his turn from competing in MA1 and being in the talks of the top 3 and being there, moving to that dominant MA1. I'm going to win every MA1 tournament I play.
Yeah.
And he's going to be an unstoppable force on these local courses. Um, so
Yeah,
I hope for Alan he keeps this, right, and he makes this a trend, and he just starts dominating some of these MA1 divisions.
yeah, he's been on coverage for the channel a number of times, and he's come close and he's had some good rounds. But then when I look at what he did with Frosty Fling this past December, his first round was, I think he said it was his highest rated round ever. It's like 10:38 or something like that, and he just, yeah, just like leapfrogged over everybody. Second round, Zach Peters from Johnson City, Tennessee, came in and gave Allen a good battle. And honestly, Allen's second round wasn't as good as his first round, but he found ways to win. He made putts when he needed to. He gamed it to the very end. Yeah, and he's figured a lot of stuff out. It's not just grip it and rip it and just huck the putts as hard as you can. It's all right. What do I need to do to win every time? And he's getting that figured out.
Yeah, what I see, right, in 2 wins, 1 by 7, 1 by 8 strokes, right, is I don't see Allen battling the other MA1 players. Yeah, he probably had some folks taking a run at him a couple of times in those rounds, but I bet Allen wasn't worried about him. He wasn't thinking about him. I bet Allen was focused on, this is what I want to shoot. You know, at Century, right, he shot minus 22. He's thinking, I need to shoot double digits both rounds, and minus 23 at Tiger, he's thinking the same thing. So I'm sure he's got a goal, and he's less focused on the other players around him and more focused on the course.
Yeah, and I know that he keeps good company. For example, my wife and I were out playing around at Tiger probably about 3 weeks ago, and here come Alan and Ryan Monn on their second loop through playing Tiger that day, and then I think that after that second loop, they went and played another, maybe just the front nine or something like that, short tees. I mean, they're just living it, eating it, sleeping it. That's how you have to be that
absolutely.
Good.
Iron sharpens iron, right? You want to practice with who you want to be with, and if you're able to do that, like Alan is, then you're going to definitely improve. So that was good. I think a couple of others, right? Colton Evett, he took second at the Century Freeze, kind of hanging on behind Alan, leading the rest of the field.
Another guy's getting some things figured out.
Yeah, and then Eva, you mentioned earlier, she's a 2-time major champion. She won MA4. So interesting to see Eva branching out from some of the FJ divisions, and playing against some male competitors and some older competitors than she's used to. So it'd be interesting, I think, to talk to her about how she feels about some of those and listen in on her thoughts on some of that at some point in time. She's but won MA4 by 10 strokes. I saw, and it was like a 10-stroke improvement between round 1 and round 2. So round 1 kind of got off to a slow start, but really figured it out and started playing her own game for the rest of the day.
Yeah, when she's on, she is quite dangerous. And sorry in advance to all the MA4, MA3, MA whatever players. You better bring 2 towels for those tears, because Ava's going to come up and probably whip you very soon.
Absolutely. You're going to have to go home to your wives and tell them you got beat by
a little girl today.
A little girl, yeah.
Cool, man. Speak of the South Carolina MPO Tour and players, what you got for us?
Yeah, so let me, I'm going to pull up kind of some current rankings. So we've got some rankings here. Pulled basically a list of South Carolina players with a professional status. You'll see a couple of names over on the left without a rating. Those folks probably haven't renewed their PDGA membership so far in January. So you're thinking about a name and it's not on the list. They either, first, don't claim South Carolina as home in their PDGA page, or 2, haven't renewed their membership yet. So maybe next month when we look at this, it might look a little different as folks start to renew and play some tournaments early in the year. But right, so over on the left, it's just a list of players. But really what we're looking at is the middle portion here, right? Top 20 by rating. These are the top 20 and plus. We've got more than 20 there on the list, you can see, right? But these are our rankings for MPO in the state. So of course you've got Ulibarri topping that list, right? Yeah. Rock Hill native showed us why at Boyd Hill this month for sure. And then a couple of our touring pros out there. You've got Micah, Jake, Braden, Evan, all right there, and Ryan, all in that mix. We saw a couple of them playing this month, but off season for a lot of them. I think we'll start to see a lot more movement from those guys starting next month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just taking a look at that list, it's the same names that you see in the state doing well at events, and the ones that leave the state and do well. Even like Martin Neese. Martin, he does very well in local tournaments in the Carolinas and Georgia and Tennessee. Then last year he went down and won Throw Down the Mountain. So this is when I see this list of folks from Ulibarri all the way down through Dylan Sepla, I see heavy hitters that on any given weekend can come in and take everybody's lunch money.
That's exactly what I think about, on, 9 through 13 in this list is those are guys that will any given weekend can compete with anybody that's out there,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
9 through 13 is a dangerous person to see when you're signing up for a tournament. And you see Martin, for example, was down there at the Savannah Open and playing, so he was active. So I also like to look at right over on the right, we've got top 20 by change. Right, so these are folks with a professional status with most movement in their PDGA ranking with their latest updates. So we've got a couple of folks. Charles shooting way up there. I think that's B. Charles 51872. Let's go look. 51872. Let's go look at Bradley Charles from Aiken. Taking a 16-point rating boost.
Wow.
That's a huge rating boost. He's got maybe 2 events so far this year. Those were both last year. So this guy probably had an update go in that took some things off of his record, and he's jumped up in the rating. So one to watch out for if this guy's moving up the ranks. And I think that's Chad Sullivan up there, moving up 3. So he's
Mr. MBO.
He's trying to climb the rankings as well. Alex Durham, great name there to keep an eye out for. He can make some movement. I think Durham's up here in the list too. I mean, he's up 3. I think 1001. I think this is the first time he's been 1000 rated. So
yep,
that's a good jump for him. And sneaky number 8 over here, I think out in Arizona right now, is Zach Wysocki. So I think we've seen a lot about his brother in the news right now.
Yeah.
Leaving Dynamic. So who knows where he'll go? Who knows if he'll pull Zach along with him and what that might mean
quite
for
possible.
some of Zach's future. So
yeah, and it's neat too taking a look at the list. I always like to, of course you're drawn to the 1,000 rated players, but I like to look at the ones that are in the high 900s too. Jason Lynn, I got to film him a couple times last year at Irwood.
Solid
and
player.
then
I've played with Jason before.
Yeah, the Augusta Classic. He's if I remember correctly, he's a former national champion. Corey Addy, I filmed him at the Charleston Classic, which footage is getting ready to come out in the next week or so. Corey's the president of the Charleston Club down there, and just kind of scary good, super nice guy, and then just goes out and just throws a mile and makes big long putts. The 2 things that you need to do. Yeah, and then you got Eric Dahl and some of those other guys. Yeah, there's some names there.
Yeah, I like to call that the watch zone, right? Some of these guys can make a jump up. They start really putting in some work in the off season, start to put their head together and sign up for enough tournaments. A lot of those guys can make some moves. But you'll see a lot of these guys in that range, right, that I think about even, right, we mentioned Chad Sullivan. I don't know how much Chad plays in tours and plays events. He's so involved in the local scene, he may not as much, right? So some of these guys are kind of part-time pros, right? They play their local tournaments and MPO and enjoy them, but they might not tour full-time.
Yeah, and Chad, kudos to him for his rating continuing to be high and to continue to play at a high level, because he is Mr. Myrtle Beach Open, he is Mr. College Disc Golf, and he is right there, one of the high ups with USDGC.
Yeah,
his plate is full. Yeah, so
absolutely
cool, man. Well, We are joined by a name that many of you know, especially if you know this channel. But if you watch disc golf at all, you should know this gentleman, Mr. Ryan Monn. Thanks for coming on the podcast today.
How's it going, guys?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I just got down here in Tallahassee on Monday, and I'm about to play an 8-tier for the first tournament of the year.
Oh, nice. What courses are you using down there?
Tom Brown Park. They've used it for the Silver Series in 2022. They used it past 3 years as well.
Nice. So we got a series of questions for you. We'll get to what the rest of your schedule looks like in a minute.
Okay.
Owen, you got something for him?
Yeah, Ryan, just first off, thanks for joining us. And first question is just, you had such a successful season last year, I think, obviously with the majors and the jump up into the MPO and professional world, and you've got a tour schedule this year and exciting things. So what does a successful season look like for you in 25? What are your goals? What are you going to be happy with come December?
It's a tough thing to answer right now, but I would say probably qualifying for my tour card next year, which is top 90 or 80 in tour points. So playing a lot of the elite pluses, which gives you a lot of points. Probably some wins, trying to get my career earnings over maybe 10,000, 15,000, something like that. And just trying to keep my rating, probably get to 1020. I would feel like would be a good thing for this year.
Cool. Rating point, tour card. I know the tour card is a big thing, right? That's kind of your I think I hear a lot of folks talk about how, like, this is my I get my tour card, that's my validation. I'm doing the right thing. I'm in the right place. I'm doing things well. So
cool, man. Being a former teacher, I got a school question for you. How in the world are you going to balance school and with touring, or kind of touring, or what does all that look like for you?
Yeah, I gotta give a nice shout out to my counselor, Mrs. DeLong, at my school. She has helped with me a lot about all of this. I can kind of take days off when I need them. Like if I'm for some majors this year, I'm gonna ask her for maybe the Thursday or Friday off to focus on the tournament more, and she'll be okay with that. But I'm only taking 3 classes right now and 1 elective, so nothing too crazy. I got all the harder classes done with the first semester, so I could kind of focus on tour more in the spring.
Cool. So when you're doing school now, that's not traditional school, right? You're doing online school, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm doing online school. It's just pretty easy to do on my computer every single day. I only do it for about 2 hours, and then I can do whatever I want.
Nice.
that's great. Wish I could do that with work. I do that remotely sometimes, but not just 2 hours a day. Yeah, Ryan, you mentioned new schedule this year, new tour schedule for you. You're going to be playing some Elite Plus events and things. Is there any one event you're looking forward to most, or that might be new to you or new to disc golf?
It's got to be Pro Worlds over in Europe. I mean, first time they've ever done it in Europe. My first ever PDG World Championship. My first time ever going to Europe. All that combined into one is going to be a really fun trip.
Absolutely, that'd be great, great experience playing disc golf in a different place, exposed to different people, making a big step and getting on an international stage. It's got to be exciting.
Yeah.
Who else going with you over to Europe?
I think my entire family's going. I think Adam's going to try to get off his work then. He should have a job by then. Nice. And my parents are going to get off, so that should be really fun.
It's going to be a Europe Mon takeover.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got to get the vlogs going strong at that point in time.
Yeah, we might try to. I don't know. I'm not really too much on the YouTube grind nowadays, but I'm trying to get back on it.
So, just a side question, since I brought it up, how does that work out when you're trying to play a tournament and do things? I know I've seen you do it. I've seen Braden do it, and other guys. How does that work out? Do you have to I gotta put some time in on this thing, or where's that in the level of importance?
Whoa, we got so much right in here. It's hard to do for sure now, being out here, because when I'm at home, normally I have somebody walk with me, whether that be a caddy or my mother, especially. She's normally always walked with me when I'm at home. they take videos, and that's the main part of the vlogs I try to do is clips of me playing the videos, kind of a longer thing than what you see on my Instagram or my Facebook or something. Kind of a longer form content, which you can see there. But it's going to be a lot harder this year to make more content because I'm not going to have as many people taking videos of me, catting with me, walking with me, all of that. So it's a little more difficult this year for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan might end up with one of those tripods off the bag or something trying to
I'm not going to pull an Anthony Bedanza, but maybe. Who knows?
Strap a GoPro to his hat or something and try to get some content.
Crazy.
Maybe
first person disc golf.
Yeah, that's the new thing.
Is something like that, keeping social media and vlogs and things like that, is that any sort of level of importance for you, or you're like, no, dude, it's completely, let's play as well as I can this year?
I mean, I definitely want to get more content out. I mean, I've been advised by people at Discraft and people at Ledgestone to get more content out there because disc golf right now is in a weird spot. Playing doesn't get you, I mean, it gives you obviously contracts, like big contracts, but people who do a lot of social media, who get the brand out there, who get their own brand out there, can push more plastic in that sense. And a big thing with that is the social media, how consistent you are posting on that, whether it be Instagram or YouTube.
Yeah, that's really interesting you mentioned. And COVID money was huge. Everybody was getting everything, but essentially when these manufacturers are sponsoring a player, they're just paying for advertisement, right? You are their advertisement for their brand, right? So then all these other people in disc golf are looking at you and saying, well, Ryan throws Discraft, I want to throw what he's throwing because he's throwing well, right? Or
exactly.
But they might also look at you, right? And so the more they see that, the more they see it in content rather than just leaderboards and things, sometimes can definitely be helpful, I think, to your career or anyone in disc golf. So
exactly.
You mentioned Ledgestone and Discraft kind of there together. I know they're two big parts of your disc golf life now. How does that relationship work? I mean, what does Discraft do for you? What does Ledgestone do for you? And how do other sponsors fit in?
It's kind of tough to answer without disclosing too many things, but Discraft's my main sponsor.
Give us
obviously.
Contract details, just general.
Obviously, Discraft's my main sponsor, so they supply me with the discs I want to use. I can obviously only throw their discs and DGA discs, but it's just they supply me with the discs. Ledgestone was more. My thought process was I wanted to get my brand out there, and they're a very big company, probably the biggest company you can be tied to if you are with Discraft. And you can run special release discs if you have that part of clause in your contract. So you can kind of get your name out there at that sense too, as long with Discraft's making the disc, so I can also throw it. So there's that.
Now, do you go to them with ideas, or they come to you and say, "Hey, it's time to do a special run of Ryan Monn disc"? Or you're like, "I've got this idea."
I'm not sure yet. Me and Dwight Powell, I guess I don't know what he is at Ledgestone. Sorry, Dwight. I think he's the operator. I don't know if he's the owner. But I think he'll probably reach out to me. We haven't really talked about that yet, but I'm sure there's probably some banned discs. Like I can't do it's probably hard to do like a Macbeth discs or a Paige Pierce disc or something like that. You probably have to get their approval or something.
Yeah, because I know when I see Ledgestone stuff, excuse me, I know Micah a couple years ago. Micah Groth had that run of Vultures that was really good. But then you see the old school Surge will come out or something like that. So it's neat to see something come back from the vault.
I love seeing that vault stuff, especially when it's an up and coming tour player or something to pull a mold or something out that isn't quite as popular and do a run of it or something. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I know they just released like a 2015 Crystal Flex Zone that everybody liked. I've never thrown it, but I've heard some people like that, and they try to remake that or re-release it. So I like when they do that. It makes like old disc comes back and makes the old runs, I guess, makes them more valuable technically.
Yeah, I could see that because I know when that Surge came out, the Surge is a big part of my bag, and I went through my old stuff. It's like, all right, where's these old Surges at? Let me kind of compare them and start throwing them again.
Yeah.
So you got Discraft and Ledgestone. Is that all? Is there another piece of the puzzle?
I got Circle One, which does my apparel. I have some of their shirts back there in here, but I also have Drive Bags, which is probably the best chalk bag company I've ever dealt with. I mean, as soon as I felt their product from Evan Scott, I've
Mm-hmm.
never gone to any other chalk bag. Like I haven't switched in 3 years.
Yeah, that's a. It's funny you say chalk bag because when you said chalk bag, my mind went back to some of the coverage I've done with you,
Yeah.
and it's not just what for your hand. You're like, oh, let me test the wind, and it's
Oh yeah.
oh here's Ryan getting ready to come on the tee. You kind of hear that in the background.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like to abuse the chalk, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but drive bags. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. Aren't they
That's
kind
right.
of local to the Carolinas?
Yeah, I think he's in Rock Hill. So yeah, he's pretty
Okay.
close. But he sponsors like a lot of people on tour. He hand makes every single bag, so they're always made with love. And yeah, they're
Mm-hmm.
really good because I have my own ones right now. I have Am Slam ones and Junior Worlds ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, if you win like a big tournament, he'll make one with your face on it, and you'll have your own for like a tour series fundraiser type disc.
Nice. Cool. Cool.
That's great stuff. Ryan, you talked about balance of competition and content filming and, exciting new stuff and traveling to Europe and stuff. What is it about touring that really drew you to like, I want to do this. I want to go out. I want to play disc golf every day because I know, as somebody that gets to play maybe twice a week, right? I can kind of understand that like me playing disc golf every day may not work out well, right? I'm not going to wake up every morning and want to play disc golf. I think it would eventually be like, I got to go play a second practice round today. I'm kind of tired. I'm still sore, or it's cold, or it's raining, and I've still got to go out and I got to make sure practice. So, what's kind of your drive out on tour? Is it the competition? Is it the enjoying of traveling? Is it being with tour mates and your brother and family? What drives you while you're out on tour?
I think it's all of that combined. I mean, I love competing. I mean, I think I'm I don't know, a very skilled competitor. Don't think that's the word, but I like competing a lot. But also, yeah, being with people and seeing new places is really fun as well. But the drive to play disc golf, you just have to not get too burnt out. I know over the off season, I like to take probably like a week break from playing disc golf. I know that doesn't sound like a lot for people who don't play every
Yeah,
day. I mean, that's probably a common occurrence for
I,
you guys, maybe.
I do that once a month.
Um,
Yeah.
exactly, but yeah, you got to take breaks so you don't get burnt out, but you got to find new ways to make it fun. I mean, me and Evan just went out and putted for 30 minutes just playing like a horse game on like a random hole out here at Tom Brown, and it was fun. And but we got good practicing. So it's things like
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yesterday, me, Jake, and Clay Edwards played a score round just for fun. So I mean, we just make it competitive, but still a practice round and still get good practice in and get good tournament pressure in.
Unk. Big shout out to Unk.
Yeah.
So, who all's down there right now? Is there a big turnout for this tournament?
I think the MPO field is like 62 people. I know it's full. I just got off the wait list. I was six on the wait list, and I got in yesterday.
Hmm.
But people who are around us right now, Evan Scott's the RV next to us. Unk's right outside. Nathan Queen, Albert Tam, Bradley Williams is out there. Rebecca Cox is out there. Raven Newsome. No, not Raven. Trevin Crow. Justin Rozak's here.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Hokum's here. I saw Trevor Harbaught's here. So a lot of people.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. I always kind of know that like, hey, all these pros that are going to these tournaments, they're probably staying on the course, or they're probably
Hmm.
staying in a nearby place. I'm sure those venues are probably much more attractive to y'all when you're picking out spots too. That hey, this place has got reserved places for us to park RVs and things like that.
Yeah, Tom Brown's really nice with just letting you park here for free. And there's like so much open grass as long as you aren't on a fairway, they don't care where you park. So we're just
Sweet,
kind
that's
of
sweet.
in, and we have a warm up field pretty much like right back here. There's just a warm up field. So
Hmm.
when tournament day comes, I can literally just wake up, eat breakfast, go out there and just throw. And then there's a practice basket 200 feet that way, and hole one is 300 feet that way.
Yeah, that's really
So it's
what they're
like,
looking
Nice.
for
so,
when they're
yeah,
looking
so
at
it's like
tour
whenever you want to play
venues
a
and
practice
things
round,
like that.
you just go knock on somebody's door you want to play with, and like you don't even play. They're like, yeah. And you walk over, and you're playing within 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Nice. That's
sweet.
pretty cool. All right. So you made the decision to continue on with Discraft this year.
Hmm.
So the big question is, are there any big changes to your bag? But the biggest question is, how many buzzes are you bagging? That's what I really want to know.
I'm currently bagging 3.
Don't say none. Okay,
Currently
there we
bagging
go.
3. I was bagging 4. Um,
Mm.
the 4th one got taken out. I got too straight and kind of overlapped molds. But I have a 4-claw, which is straight. I have an ATOS TI Buzz, which is straight to understable, and I have a 2014 MNATS Buzz, which is super understable. So
Nice.
then I had one that was overstable, was one of my USA DGC runs, and then I hit a rock on 16 Tiger, and it got straight.
Ooh. Dang.
Which is unfortunate.
So what have you got any big changes? I know you said you're throwing some more DGA this year.
Yeah, the biggest change, I switched putters. I went to the DGA Sonar. I left the Challenger OSs. There was just this week period during the off season. It was sometime it was like the end of December. I don't know if it was cold. I don't know what was wrong, but I literally, my circle 1 percentage, normally I'm hovering around the 85 to 90% in tournament. I was down in the 70 to 75%. And that's not where I want to be. So I switched to the DJA So I switched
That's where I want to be.
To the DJA Sonars, and they've been working well so far.
How do they compare to the Challies? Are they deeper, more shallow?
They are a little more shallow and more like, so the Challenger OS is more rounded. This one's a little more blocked off, I guess you could say. It's very similar to a PA3 mold. God, that thing's beeping again.
Oh.
Can you guys hear that?
Yeah, just a lot.
God, this thing has been making me so mad the entire day. So this thing went off at 3 a.m.
Oh,
I
no.
understand. Yeah. I don't know how to make it stop.
That's like...
Got it. I just pressed random buttons. Hopefully this thing doesn't explode. Or back. But yeah, it's pretty much just a PA3 mold. So feeling good so far with it. I've gotten a lot of practice putts in. I got some proto ones from Jake and Evan since they're both on DGA. And then I ordered a first flight pair, and they are working pretty well so far.
Nice. Well, cool, man. I think that's all the questions we have for you. Do you want to do any plugs or anything before we end up here?
Yeah, obviously I want to shout out Discraft for being my main sponsor. Ledgestone, I just signed a new deal with them, and they have been very fun to work with so far. They send me free discs from the drop, so that's really always cool to review those. I want to shout out Circle 1 for making me look good on the course, and I want to shout out Drivebacks for giving me the grip.
Nice. Thank you so much for coming on this first podcast with us.
All right.
Thanks,
sweet.
Ryan.
See you guys.
Cool. Good to see that guy, as always. I joke a lot.
Love seeing the guys go out on tour. Love seeing them, come back and be involved in the off season, giving love back to the local area too. So. Yeah,
I joke a lot to people that Great Courses of South Carolina is the channel that Ryan Monn made, because he was very integral in many of the tournaments throughout the past couple years. And it's just good to see him. I remember when I was almost as tall as him one point in time, and that was that was light years ago. He's still growing. Holy cow! He's like 17. He's still got at least one growth spurt left.
Yeah,
crazy.
At least. The other thing too, right? He's got some growth spurts in the brain, right? They always talk about how, right? Isn't it like 25? Most males, their brain fully develops, right? He's got a couple of those hurdles to get over as well, which, dangerous, right? As good as a competitor as he is at a young age, he gets a little bit more mature and his brain develops a little bit more too. Not to say Ryan's, not developed. He's probably far and ahead most of the kids at his age, but he gets those opportunities to improve even further that it'll be real dangerous in the disc golf world.
Yeah, it's I kind of go back to what I mentioned earlier, the fact that I saw Ryan and Alan Vasquez play together. Alan reminds me of Ryan in his younger days, where there's this tipping point to where the young player goes from, I'm just going to say, from playing checkers to playing chess. All right, it's grip it and rip it, and let's run the putts, and I'm playing without fear, and then suddenly it's like, you see them lay something up. Or like, no, I'm just going to pitch out here. I'm not going to try to huck it through the forest. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then suddenly their rating goes, out of the universe. They pick
their battles. They know when to attack, when to pull back. It's that balancing act of when do I press, when do I not, and also, right, that they get a lot more confidence in their ability, so that when they do press, they're more successful with it, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna go for this island because I know I can make it. Like I know I should make this every time, and then they do it, right?
Yeah.
Versus their thought process before, which might have been more of, I can do that, I should do that, right? More than they're going to. They know it at this point.
Yeah, Ryan's got a good head on his shoulders too, and he always has. I feel like he's he's really kind of built to be super successful at this, and as he gets more experience out there away from the local A tiers in our area and on disc golf pro tour events, I can see him moving up and up, and we'll see him on big boy coverage a lot in the near future.
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, before we close out here, I got a couple more segments here. Quick one. This is the great courses of the month, to where both of us kind of talk about someplace in South Carolina or near South Carolina that we want to give a shout out to. I want to shout out Boyd Hill. As I went this past weekend, and that's in Rock Hill. Went this past weekend and played the tournament there, and we got in Friday and played a practice round. I'm reminded that, this is, let me look at my notes here, 2006, it was put in the ground, designed by Harold Duvall and Russell Schwartz with Innova, that's like 10 minutes away from there. This is one of the first true park courses in South Carolina, and it's typical park style golf, where you've got a small finite piece of land and you've put 18 holes, you kind of squeeze them in there and it all makes sense. And sometimes you might have some fairways bumping into each other or whatever, but you go in and every hole is gettable, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it, because they've had to make different lines that are kind of tricky, and you use every trick in the book there. I do want to mention that one hole there, I don't know if I call it signature hole, but certainly the most memorable, the double Mando that's been in.
I've played that course twice, and I think that's the only hole I remember. So
Yeah.
definitely memorable.
I'm going to put a picture of it up on the screen here, but you've seen, Simon Lizotte and friends have come through and played it during USDGC. It's been on Yuli's channel a lot. It's been on multiple YouTube channels of the pros. My way to play that hole, and I actually did it successfully this past weekend. Step one, I jump putt through it and just get it through both of them and get it, and it's a little bit downhill. And then second, I just rip something over a little stable over the creek around the trees, and then hopefully make a putt. So I don't know, but yeah, Boyd Hill. That's I'm going to say it's a charming course, because it's everything you expect a park course to be.
Yeah, it's playing that, you described it great. Charming park course. I'm sure that course looked a whole lot different in 2006. So, I'm sure there's been, slight changes in basket positions over time, and that has to,
Yeah.
right, with, almost 20 years worth of growth of different bushes and trees out there and park changes. I'm sure the surrounding area has changed, property lines or things in 20 years, right, that
Yep.
have come across, and park changes and upgrades and new ball fields and things like that change
Right,
things.
right.
So it's really good to see courses lasting that long in those areas. And like you said, some of those holes feel like they're really on top of each other, maybe because they used to have a lot more trees in between them or something, right?
That's true. That's true.
That's what I kind of keep in mind playing those courses. So love Boyd Hill. I've got family that lives up in Rock Hill, and so need to play it more while I'm up there. A course that I want to highlight is, this is great courses of the month. South Carolina focused is this podcast and the channel, but I'm going to bend the rules a little bit. I did play.
So early to do that.
It's so early, the first podcast we're going to bend the rules, but I think this is warranted. So, I went and played the Savannah Open in Savannah, Georgia. Savannah, of course, right at the bottom of the state, the coast, also right next to the state line. So I'm going to highlight the Savannah Harbor Disc Golf Club and that course, and I'm going to share just a little bit here about the course. I thought this course was so unique and cool. You'll see here's the map of the course, right? Really cool concept. So This the course is on an island, Hutchinson Island, right here outside of Savannah. So you'll see you have the Savannah River and what they call the back river surrounding both sides of the course. The back river is the state line, so you're playing next to the river. You can see it at some parts, and that is the state line. So you can see South Carolina from the course. I think that's close enough, right? But you'll see kind of this course is laid out. There's an old racetrack on this island that they used to use for races. So you can kind of see there. You can see this is kind of the pit lane, the big concrete asphalt area right there in the middle. The course is laid out in the middle of this, and it's a really cool concept. Old racetrack that has tons of history. There's a golf course right next to this, a ball golf course, as I'll say. That's owned by the resort on the island. I think the resort looked to the local club or some community members wanting to add more amenities to the resort. And somehow, some way, they came up with the idea of a disc golf course. And so this is just perfect scenario in the perfect place. It's absolutely a beautiful course. Here's some pictures of it. I highly encourage you go look it up on UDisc, Savannah Harbor Disc Golf Club. Really cool concept, really nice tee pads and tee signs that they've installed out there. Apologies to the course designer. I spoke to you before the round. Don't remember your name, so I'm sure I'll get him his proper shout out, but and we'll post it. But really cool design. This was his first disc golf course he'd ever designed.
What?
And just really well thought out, really well installed. I think, we went down, there was some rain going on. Look at this is the one hole I want to highlight. This is hole 6. This was actually our starting hole for the tournament. We started on hole 6. Those two posts and that bar you see are a triple mando on a 750-foot plus par 4.
Oh,
so you've got
okay.
a placement shot out in the open, and then probably a 350-foot shot, even if you got a great drive that has to go through this triple mando to the basket you see there. So
wow,
really, really cool concept, really beautiful course. Highly recommend if you're ever in the Savannah area to check and go play this course.
Nice. Yeah, it's close enough, close to the South Carolina state line.
You can
Cool.
see South Carolina from the course. I figured that's good enough.
Cool. All right, well, I want to close out the podcast to kind of give some shout outs and some stats and things here and there. Talk about some 1,000 rated rounds and some tournament aces. Here you see the list up on the screen. So before I shout out anybody whose names are highlighted, here's a funny little stat. So before this past weekend, we had one tournament ace and 7,000 rated rounds. And this past weekend, on one day, we had 14,000 rated rounds and 5 tournament aces. Yeah, just kind of.
That's a busy Saturday for I know January is the off season, right? We're still in off season mode. So, some of our touring pros and things aren't out playing full time. There's not necessarily a tournament in every town every weekend. But yeah, really surprising, like you said, the last weekend of January, people were busy trying to get some of these things in and shooting some hot rounds out there as well.
Yeah. Just quick shout out to Paul Ulibarri, both his rounds at the Boyd Hill Blizzard were 1,000 rated. Alan Vasquez, 4,000 rated rounds in January.
Yeah, we talked about him owning that Century Freeze and Winter Lines at Tiger. He did that with 4,000 rated rounds, and all in the span of January. That again, I hope to see this that we're doing this again in February for him.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of 1,000 rated rounds there. A couple of shout outs for some tournament aces. There were actually 2 at the Boyd Hill Blizzard. Matthew Murray got hole 2, and Cameron Weatherman Rhodes got hole 14. And then we had 2 at Winter Lines at Tiger, the same tournament. Colton Evett got hole 13, and Ben Wilson got hole 14. A tournament aces, some people don't count anything except tournament aces. So good on these guys for seeing them get get some aces and get some
Get
quote
that ace
unquote.
in the column in a tournament. Hope these guys paid into the respective ace pools. Hopefully.
Yeah. And last thing I want to share with everybody here, I got some upcoming events. Let me pull those up on the screen here. February is going to be a busy month. So, got some fundraisers. February always seems good for fundraisers. We got Bone Beaupre's doing one at Conway, a food bank fundraiser. Bart Altman's doing one down at Wanamaker in Charleston. Margaret Shoemate's doing one at Buck Branch, doing a mixed doubles event. That's going to be a fun one. Got some returning events. We got the 5th annual Chili Chili Bang Bang that Down South Disc Ish is running. Ish Omer running that down there, and then Gabe Brown and Citadel Elites running the 4th annual One Love Open. And then next month, I'm back behind the camera. I'm filming the Southeast Collegiate Open, Holston Creek. Got 3
That's
rounds.
Gonna be cool.
Yeah.
180 players coming to town. If you haven't seen Holston Creek, first of all, you're probably living under a rock. Second of all, absolutely amazing course. I'm really excited to see how the collegiate players take on Holston and play some of the layout out there.
Yeah, especially the first round on day 1 is doubles, and then there's a singles round, so they're gonna be hoofing it to stay in daylight, and then day 2 is doubles. We're throwing around some different options for starting off, but for round 1 feature. But I think Clemson University is going to have a team there, and we might see Ryan Monn on coverage for that. So that'll be kind of cool. The other event that I want to point out is the oldest tournament in the state, this 36th annual Earlwood Classic in Columbia, South Carolina. This event it's the granddaddy of them all. It's not a large course. Earlwood is the original park course in South Carolina, but man, the people that have played this event throughout the years, I mean, everybody from Barry Schultz, Jeremy Coling. One year they had this big ladies division that had Elaine King, and everybody named Sarah was there, and all sorts of folks. This year, Michael Johansson's playing, Aiden Scott's coming in, a bunch of local guys I've already talked about, Martin Neese, Brent Hanu, Will Hanu, Dylan Seppala. Got a good MPO division for this one.
Yeah,
So
Earlwood is absolutely a staple. I've had the pleasure of playing that tournament a couple of times. It's not my type of course. The park courses have not been my strength historically, but still a pleasure being part of that event. Like you said, it's history in the making every year. 36th annual. You think about how popular disc golf is now versus what it used to be, and the fact that they've kept this tournament going for 36 years in a row is really impressive and really cool to think about. You're playing that course about, like you said, all those names that have played this before and played it, and then even on yes, there's lots of historical players and players of importance that have been out there, but just all the other amateurs that have played that. I mean, for them to count up in 36 years, how many unique players have played that tournament? I mean, it's, if you've played disc golf in South Carolina and you've played tournaments in South Carolina, there's a decent chance you've played the Earlwood Classic. So
Yep. Harold Duvall, the course designer, ran the first couple iterations of the Earlwood Classic, and just handed it down to other folks throughout the years, and here we are 36 years later, still going strong.
That's sweet.
Super cool. All right, Owen, anything to add here to end?
Nothing else. We'll see y'all again next month.
Cool. Owen, thanks for all your help. Owen was the stats guy for all this stuff. Greatly appreciated. Me no math. It's kind of my natural enemy. But thanks, Big O, for all your help, and thanks to everybody for watching, and we'll see you next month.